Hey YouTube, Matt the Lore Master here. Today I'm going to tell you a story about our most recent session in a campaign that I've named Space. If you're my players, please don't watch this video. I may say things about the future plans based on what's already occurred in the campaign. Otherwise, sit back and enjoy as I tell you about Space, the final campaign. Our players start out graduating from the Jedi Academy. Yes, I use Jedi. No, this is not a Saga Edition role-playing game. This is 2nd Ed D&d Spelljammer, which is a D&D space setting for magic. And I just stole Jedi because it's one of the easiest ways I know to relate to a space setting. So, our players are... the characters are a Drow named Fryn, male, a male Aasimar orc named Nishant, a male hornhead saurial named Thon, a male gnome named Peter, and a half-elf Aasimar named Daenes. Daenes is the only female in this game. Not the only female character, the Aasimar, which is what I call the Aasimar orc mix, is also a female player, but the character is male. So the only female character is our elf friend. Well, Aasimar, elf friend. So, players were graduating. Everything goes smoothly there. They're from different planets all over the galaxy, but in order to get them together, I had them graduate together at this one location. Big ceremony. Each of them gets a ceremonial bastard sword. Because of its versatility and similarity in usage to a lightsaber, I decided that would be the picturesque symbolic weapon for Jedi in this setting. Nobody in the party actually uses a bastard sword, so didn't really do them much good to get that. But I did tell them beforehand, most Jedi do, but my people like being weird, as you can tell from the race choices. So, after graduation, there's a nice dinner. Players say goodbye to anyone that they knew in this location as they get ready to set out on a Jedi-assigned mission to who knows where and who knows why. I do as the DM, but they didn't at the time. Set to preside over them is a Jedi Knight, very hands-off kind of guy, named Vincent Halevin. His last name wouldn't be terribly important if it didn't happen to be the same name as a town that one of my characters designed for a planet that he ran a campaign on once. I didn't know that when I designed this character's last name, so it just happened to be a coincidence, and I'm running with it, saying his heritage is from that town, very distantly, though. My voice keeps cracking. So, players get on a ship and head off into space. There's a massive amount of time that happens between one location and another in space, because according to the Spelljammer rules, it takes a day to travel the distance from our planet to our sun, which I calculated, and I determined that based on other things. And I charted it out, and it takes quite a bit of time. But this isn't bad. I decided to use this as character development time. Ask players, how do they pass the time? Also, I'll have random encounters in these spots later on. Not to begin with. One, because I don't have the encounter block made out yet. And the other because, well, I want them to introduce to things in a reasonable order and not be overwhelmed with one kind of thing or random things. Well, not to start off with, at least. So the players in the ship, the gnome, he's a bard. Not your usual kind of bard. He's a animal handling bard. And he has brought with him a giant mutant gerbil, because that's a thing in space campaigns. Sadly it is. That's what the Spelljammer setting designed for it, because they just want gnomes to be weirder and weirder. And a smaller gerbil, which he's trying to make into a giant gerbil through generations of breeding. Yeah, so he uses those and tries to impress other people on the ship to give him money for his genetic experiments. Fryn the Drow, Thon the saurial, and the Aasimar Nishant all practice in the dueling area, and the half-elf Aasimar nominal aphasia, because I can't remember her name right now. Whew. Oh, man, I'll get back to that later. Anyway, she was being social. Daenes. Her name is Daenes. Man, why did I think of that in a moment? Anyway, she was being social, using her social skills and just hanging out with whoever was there, picking up good stories or whatever. So, after the players make their first spaceport, they're let off and instructed by Vincent, their Jedi guide, to find a ship that will get them to the desired planet, which, as they're informed about their mission, is to go to the planet of El Qadim. Yes, I stole the name from the setting. No, I did not steal the setting. I just knew the players would recognize that name, and I liked it, so I went with it. So the players are instructed to find a ship. Only the gnome really bothers, and he finds a cobbled-together construct called the Iglesia. It's supposed to sound like the word for church, but it's spelled terribly wrong because the ship's exterior is only designed by paneling, and the panels are just whatever they find, and it just happened to spell Iglesia when they're asked what the ship name would be. Just a little bit of backstory on that ship. So he convinces the other party that it's an awesome ship and they should go on it, even though it's like very slow and horrible maneuverability, so if they get into a fight, they're going to get attacked from all sides and not be able to do anything. But the rest of the party doesn't know that, because they didn't know the stat block or anything about it, so they say sure. Before leaving the space station, the Aasimar goes to the liaison of the Orc Helm, which are spacefaring orcs who breed excessively. They try to breed to a higher level of orcishness and try to become a better race through breeding. There's no easy way to say that one, is there? Anyways, he very business-like makes his dedication to this cause, and it was awkward enough for the player just trying to get through that part of just saying that his character went off and did his... Yeah, it's still awkward for me trying to say it now. Hopefully you understand what I'm trying to say. If you don't, it's okay. Your parents will explain it to you when you're older. Anyways, the Drow, Fryn, and the saurial Thon go to the Jedi Enclave there and just hang out, because players don't really do anything except for fight right now, because they're still working on character development. And the half-elf gets a side quest from a market owner to try to require more people for his market. She writes that down in her back of her character sheet and plans to do that whenever she can in future locations. This is kind of the start to a very big side quest line. It's just supposed to be done as the players get to it, try to get people to the proper locations. And when they do get to those locations, I'm going to reward them with just 30% off of any merchandise purchase there. And if they're not, they're just for doing this quest line, after they get the official go-ahead from the proper planet, which will be in a few sessions, they'll get a 10% off just because they're in the network. So, she got that quest line, or Aasimar has done his duty to the race, and the other two have finished practicing. They get on the ship, and they head out. The Iglesia is, well, a bucket of bolts. It's a big square block with a semicircle slapped to the front. It's a gnomish sidewheeler by stats, but it also possesses a arc furnace, which is a very strong magical furnace. Players, if you're watching this, it's your fault for ruining the story for yourself. And it also possesses another item I used to make it so it had at least an E maneuverability class. It's a engine black backflow side bicuspic. I just threw a lot of scientific words together to make it sound cool and make it hard for players to try to order it out of the Sears and Roebuck catalog. So, on the ship, players spend a little time doing exactly what they did previously, because that's all they've figured out for their characters so far. And I decided they would be attacked by a ship of greater pirates. Greater pirates and lesser pirates are my two kinds of space pirates. The distinction being that greater pirates attack both land and space and will kill anyone and everyone in their way, whereas lesser pirates will only attack ships in space and try not to kill anyone if they can avoid it. So the ship gets attacked, and because, as I mentioned earlier, it's low maneuverability class, they get boarded. And the players, this is their first combat. They surprised me. Well, their first rolled combat. I had them practice, but I didn't actually roll that one out. They surprised me with how strong they are. Fryn the Drow and Thon the saurial take one half of the ship and just carry through the enemy ranks. The other side is managed by the Aasimars, the orc and the elf, and they tear through that side, no problem. The gnome, since the ship attacking them is of a similar gnomish sidewheeler design, decides to go outside the enemy ship and dismantle it piece by piece. He also took with him the Iglesia's engineer. So the two of them are dismantling the ship from the outside, making everything fall apart, which they successfully do to both boarding ramps. And, well, that stops the enemy from boarding. The captain of the Iglesia, who I've simply named Captain, because he refuses to give his name to anyone, took with him the Aasimar elf and the drow to fight against the captain of the greater pirate ship. The fight is simply between the three of them and the captain and two other level 1 characters to put in there to toughen up the boss. The elf and the Aasimar elf, the drow and the Aasimar elf, easily kill the sides and then come in to finish ganging up on the captain, who, though he looked like a gif, which is a giant hippopotamus guys, giant burly, like guns and other big clangy weapons, but they deal with him pretty quickly and discover that he is in fact a robot, which is not particularly normal for a Spelljammer setting, but I did want to introduce that pretty early on, that there are mechanistic qualities to this campaign. It will show up more later on, and hopefully this will be a nice introduction. They'll just be like a hey for the players. So the players get out of the pirate ship after killing the captain, the GIF captain, and then they fly off towards their destination planet. And that's where we wrapped up our first session. So, next week hopefully I'll have the next video up that will have the next session. Until then, talk to you later. Bye.